It is Sunday, week 5 edition of Game Day Recap. I'm Haley Sutton. Look, this week brought us blowouts and nail biters as you take a look at our Sunday scores here. Shout out to the Saints. Winless no more. They pick up their big win, taking down Jackson Dart and the G-Men today, so they are celebrating in the Big Easy. A lot of road teams picking up wins today, including the Broncos. We had big conversations about Denver and Philly. They hand Philly the first loss of the year. They go for it on a gutsy two-point conversion there at the end of the game, and it pays through. So a lot of scores we're going to get to, a lot of crazy things. We've got some demonstrations coming up in today's show. So let's go meet the crew, everybody. We've got our certified hater, Damien Harris, to my left. You weren't expecting that, were you?
I was
normally
not,
go to Pete,
but I own it.
you.
I own it, though. I own it.
Our certified hater. We've also got Rand, the nicest man on our set, I think.
Wow.
And Pete, big day for you today, my friend.
Well, why? There was a lot of good games, yeah.
A lot of good games.
My picks weren't that good. It wasn't that big a day. What day? What day are you talking about?
I don't know. We'll talk about it later. We'll tell you why we have a big day later. How we feeling? Week 5, vibe check is good. We all look good, feel good, talking about some good stuff. Let's get started with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, guys. What an exciting game that we saw out of the Seahawks. The uniforms in themselves were fantastic.
Love them.
Who gets the nod in that one? The creamsicles?
Creamsicles.
Without a doubt. Clean sweep.
The white creamsicles.
Correct. Yeah, the white one. Not the orange ones, though. The orange crush ones.
These ones are awesome.
Yeah, I kind of lean Seahawks just a little bit, but I'm with you. The creamsicle ones are not bad as well. Look, this was an exciting one, but Baker Mayfield stand tall again. They take advantage of an interception at the end of this game, though. Either way, the Bucs move to 3-1. So let's talk about it. And Pete, I'll come to you because at the beginning of the season, one of the things you talked about when it came to Tampa Bay was that this is a team that could make some postseason noise. Now that we've gotten to week 5 of the season, you've seen a good amount of football from them. How do you feel about the Bucs going forward?
We haven't seen the best of this team yet, which says something, because they've been fighting through so many injuries. Now everybody has injuries, but they haven't played yet with their offensive line together, and they won't because Cody Mauch's now out for the year. But getting Tristan Wirfs back on the offensive line allows them to move the center back to center, and the left guard's now playing left guard. So we still don't see Mike Evans in the lineup with those guys. Godwin's back now. Wait till they all get back together. Baker Mayfield is going to put up amazing numbers. This offense is going to be, we don't know when Bucky Irvin's get back. This offense is going to be unstoppable. And defensively, they had a lot of guys missing on that side of the ball today. So kudos to Todd Bowles for winning this game. Kudos to Jason Light for getting the roster where it is that you can supplement when guys go out. And kudos to Baker Mayfield because he's put his name in the MVP conversation.
And kudos to the kicker as well. Chase McLaughlin banging out the game winner there. We know you love your kickers, Pete.
That's point blank. You had to make it.
Something that we talked about, though, in our pre-show meeting was the benefactor of a lot of what Baker Mayfield is doing, and that's the rookie, and we're going to call him by his name, Emeka
Egbuka. Yeah, some other people struggle with that, but it's very, very simple name, Emeka Egbuka. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, we are watching a superstar turn into a superstar right in front of our eyes, and he is only 5 weeks into the season. I mean, you want to talk about giving Baker Mayfield a weapon when he already has weapons. Pete, to your point, they're not all healthy right now, but you got a guy that's a rookie, and in week 5 is one of the best receivers in the National Football League and is putting the entire league on notice. Let me read y'all something. Not only did he have 7 catches on 7 targets for 163 and a touchdown today, in his last 3 football games, again, we are talking about a rookie. He has 349 receiving yards. Now, that is not the most since week 2, but the only guys in that same conversation are Puka Nacua, Jackson Smith-Njigba, and Justin Jefferson. So you mean to tell me that a rookie in week 5 of his first NFL season is in that type of company?
And you even asked, you said, is this his rookie year?
I was watching him play, I forgot that he was a rookie because the fundamentals that he plays with, the savvy, the strong hands, and just the downright competitor, he is the perfect match for Baker Mayfield and what Baker Mayfield wants to do moving throughout the season.
Let me add what stats.
Please.
These last 2 games, he's averaging 24.3 yards a catch.
Woo.
You know how hard that is to average over 20 yards a catch, and he's done that the last 2 games. He has 100 yards in each of the last 2 games. And like Damien said, we are seeing the emergence of a superstar at this time, and dare I say, the Bucs won't miss Mike Evans when he's gone because they hadn't missed him these last couple games because Emeka has stepped up and played that role. So I mean, this guy is a baller. He is a baller, and that's one of the highest compliments that you can give a young football player in this league is that you young men are a baller.
I go back to May when I was there for minicamp, and Baker Mayfield told me Emeka Egbuka might be the most professional-ready rookie he's ever been around in his entire life, and that's any position. He knew every position. He knew what to do. He was telling other guys what to do.
Wow.
And that tells you he's a pro. And he's one of those guys that lives it and loves it, and you can just see it the way he plays.
Well, and you go back even to the beginning, I guess, of the draft when they drafted him, and Baker Mayfield took his whole family out to dinner. It was that important to him to establish that relationship early, and so you're starting to see that already through Week 5. Really good stuff from Tampa Bay. On the other side of this one, there was also some pretty good stuff from the Seahawks, too. It was a really good matchup. I want to go to Sam Darnold, and Rand, I'll come to you here. What have you thought of Sam Darnold since taking over in Seattle and the performance today? I know it wasn't a win, but some good stuff coming out of the quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, you look at both of these offenses. Both of these offenses had over 400 yards of total offense, with the Seahawks outgaining Tampa Bay, as well as we've talked about Tampa Bay and their offense and how efficient and accurate Baker Mayfield was today. Sam Darnold in that offense outgained them from a total yard standpoint. But this is a perfect marriage for Sam Darnold. He is playing under Clint Kubiak, who was, I believe, the pass game coordinator when Sam was the backup quarterback in San Francisco a couple years ago. And then the concepts are similar from what he ran all last season with the Vikings. And so this is a perfect marriage for him. He knows where to go with the football. He understands the concepts and just the overall structure of the offense and what they're trying to accomplish. And that's why I think you're seeing this offense play as well as they play. It's just unfortunate they ran into a good Tampa Bay football team that it's almost like this is their brand of football. We're going to keep it close to the very end, and then we're just going to run away with it and do what we got to do, whether that's score a touchdown or kick a field goal to walk away with the win.
Yeah, and
go ahead.
I was going to say, and to your point, I think something else that helps Sam Darnold, just like we're talking about with Baker Mayfield, is another Ohio State receiver named Jackson Smith and Jigba,
who a lot of people compared Emeka to.
That's who I said coming out of college. That it's just they're carbon copies of each other almost. I mean, the way that they play, their readiness for the National Football League from week 1 of their rookie seasons. I mean, Jackson Smith and Jigba, he had 8 receptions, 132 yards, and a touchdown. Again, for Sam Darnold, who is in a new offense, which granted he's familiar with it, he needs a go-to guy. Jackson Smith and Jigba is that guy. So to your point, Rand, the Seahawks, they ran into a better Buccaneers team, but if you're a Seattle Seahawks fan, you got to be encouraged, especially with the way Sam Darnold and this offense has been looking the past couple weeks.
Geno who? Remember that whole conversation? They let Geno go and they brought Sam Darnold in. Was it the right decision? Well, it's proven to be the right decision. And the thing that Sam Darnold is doing, he's driving the ball down the field. He came in this week averaging 9.1 per attempt, led the league, and now it went up because he was 10.1 per attempt today. So the best thing about them is to get the ball down the field. The one concern about Seattle is what happened to the defense? I mean, this is a Mike McDaniel defense that had been playing well and getting after the quarterback and winning down the field. Now, they had injuries. You know, Witherspoon wasn't there. So Julian Love wasn't there. DeMarcus Lawrence wasn't there. That's 3 big players. But, hey, Tampa Bay played with a lot of guys out of the lineup. You got to step up and overcome that. So they didn't.
Putting a bow on that because we talked about Emeka, we talked about Jackson. They are the first set of players from the same school, that is Ohio State, with 130-plus receiving yards in the same game for different teams since the 1990s, 1999.
Shout out to Brian Hartline, offensive coordinator, but former wide receiver coach from Ohio State, because he just turns them out year after year after year after
Well, the
year.
recruiting helps, too.
Well, I mean, yeah, but you got to develop talent, Peter.
What Dame said, we're going to hear that name, Brian Hartline, for some
Yes.
head coaching jobs.
He's a good coach. Good coach.
We'll keep our eye on that. We're going to put a bow on this conversation and turn our attention to a team that did not have any losses coming into the week. That is not the case anymore for the Philadelphia Eagles. The Broncos handing them their first L of the season. We'll break down what went wrong next. Welcome back to Game Day Recap. Sunday Night Football happening between the Bills and the Patriots. Little uniform clash there. Not as cool as our first uniform matchup that we just saw in that first block, but nonetheless, it is scoreless between the two. Pete, you mentioned that the Bills were going to have to play this a little bit different if they're going to win. What did you say about
I just think they need to throw the ball more. They need look. They haven't unleashed Josh Allen's right arm the way I think they can and will at some point. It's coming.
So the Bills, as it stands right now, the only remaining unbeaten team in the NFL. Of course, when we entered Week 5, it was the Eagles and the Bills, but the Eagles, of course, losing today at the hands of the Broncos. There's a lot to get into in that matchup, but I just want to talk quick, big picture. Rand, I'll come to you first. What did you think about the Broncos getting that win? Was it more of a notion on the Broncos, or was this more of concern for the Eagles?
I'll say right now, let's give the Broncos their credit. They went on the road and got a tough win at a time where things weren't going in their favor, but yet they found a way to battle back. Now, here's the thing. With this Philly team and what this Vance Joseph defense has done, because I don't think we talk about VJ and his defense enough. You know, there are a ton of great defensive coordinators in this league, but just the way he runs his scheme, the big difference to me in this football game was holding the Eagles to 2 for 11 on third down, and then only 45 yards rushing. And so that was the big thing. And we won't tempt Pete again this week.
I was going to say, are you trying to throw him another softball or what?
I'll just say it this way, and I'm going to lean in on my shot right here. Philly, it's time. Mm-hmm. Unleash that guy in the backfield. Mm-hmm. He's rested. It's been 5 weeks. It's time to ride that horse.
It was their first loss since Week 16 at Washington last season. So for what we've been talking about all this season with how the Eagles have been trending, at the very least, they've got that going for them. Pete, what do you think about this one?
Yeah, I'm with him, though. I mean, look, there's no way a game that's that close should ever have Saquon Barkley having 6 carries. It's just ridiculous. Never. And what is their identity? Their identity has always been to run the ball and throw off of that run. Well, they're not running the ball at all. And that's the biggest disappointment of the Eagles. Now, they've had offensive line injuries, and, Dickerson went out of that game. The right guard hasn't played very well, Steen. They've had Johnson in and out of the lineup. So, and Mylaga didn't play very good this week. So you look at the group, they're not very good. They're not very good right now, and they're not running the ball. Until they find their identity, which is to run the ball, I think they're going to be in a lot of close games, and we've seen that throughout the course of the entire season, and you knew they would lose one of them, and they found a way to lose this one. And
to Pete's point, the Philly offensive line gave up 6 sacks today, which they never do. They never do that. But I want to say, because I'm remembering this from very early, 6 of Jalen Hurts' first 12 targets were to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, so that tweet hit home. Mm-hmm. No matter who it was intended for.
No one, apparently.
No one.
Well, hey, you've ever heard of the term "a hit dog will holler"?
Yes, sir.
Somebody got the message, and those guys got 6 out of the first 12 targets.
And I want to piggyback off of what both of you guys have said and what has been on my mind this entire time, which is Saquon Barkley is the engine that makes this Philly team go. I sat up here and said this a couple weeks ago, and some people thought that I was crazy. Well, let me tell you guys this. Jalen Hurts had his best passing day of the season today. Yep. He threw for 230 yards. That was his best display, which means the pass game got going, but you lost.
No, 280 he had.
280, yeah. Excuse me. He had 280. I can't read my screen. He had 280, and you get the passing game going. Now, granted, A.J. Brown, he didn't get the numbers that he would have liked, but he had a decent performance. Smitty went for over 100. But what's missing? It's the run game. It's Saquon Barkley putting his DNA on the football game. And to your all's point, 6 carries for Saquon Barkley. Even if he's hurt and he's out there, if he's available, there's no circumstances ever to where that's the amount of carries that Saquon Barkley gets. Because as you see, when the Eagles have their best passing day of the season, they still come out with their first loss of the season because they're not getting Saquon going.
I'm looking at the Eagles' schedule. Of course, they're on a short week this week because they've got the Giants coming up on Thursday, but then they've got the Vikings, the Giants again, and the Packers. So I guess when we talk about the issues that this team has had, Damien, we'll talk about it from the run game perspective here. They're about to take on a Giants squad who's been kind of up and down. Their defense has been okay. Mm-hmm. Is this an opportunity to kind of get what you guys are looking for out of Saquon when you look at what's coming up on the schedule?
Well, I think it absolutely is, because when I think of the Giants defense, I think of pass rush. I think of Brian Burns. I think of Kayvon Thibodeau. I think of Sexy Dexy, who, even though he's a big interior lineman, he's one of the best pass rushing nose tackles that we've seen in quite some time. Well, what is the way to mitigate that? By running directly at the teeth of the defense. You let those guys scream up the field. Let them pin their ears back. Let them rush Jalen Hurts all day long. And what do? You let him sit back, do like this, and then he's going to hand the ball off to Saquon. The defensive line is going to be 5 yards up the field, and then he's at the second level. And that is where Saquon is at his best. Not behind the line of scrimmage, not at the line of scrimmage, at the second and third level. So I think just coming up this next week, on a short week, you have to go into this game plan if you're Nick Sirianni saying, we've got to get Saquon activated this week, and it's the perfect opportunity for him.
And the other part of that, too, you're saying what do they have to do with over these next coming weeks? this pass rush has to get going. That's what they've been known for, especially on this defense with some of the pieces that they've had in previous years. And now they are younger at that position, but now it's time to get this pass rush going. They came into week 5 ranked 26 in the league with only 5 sacks. And we're seeing teams now get 5 sacks in a single game, which we saw, and I said it earlier, the Broncos defense, had 6 today. And so this Phillies pass rush has to get to going because they do have an opportunistic secondary with some guys that can make plays on the ball and flip the field, if not score with it.
If you go back to their Super Bowl victory, what was the identity? They rushed the passer, like you said, and they ran the ball. They played physical on both lines. They're not physical on those lines right now, and they got to be better. Even guys like Jalen Carter, we thought he was going to be a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, and he hasn't been that. They need to get more physical. They need to get back to their roots, pound people, and go after the quarterback. And if they do, they'll be fine. By the way, I think they're using the first part of the season. Look, everybody's targeting. Everybody's targeting you.
You said that.
Right? Everybody's targeting you.
Said that.
They target you, and then
Rand also said something. It's time to ride that horse.
It's time to get him the ball. No question.
Time.
I agree with you.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at, I'm sorry, this is the last thing, but not to talk too much about the Saquon situation, but his numbers are actually going down.
Right.
They're not going up.
Right.
They're going down. I mean, he went for 60 in week 1, 88 in week 2. So, okay, he went up. But then it's 46, 43, 30, and what's most concerning is his longest rush is 17 yards. So again, we need to see those numbers start to go up. We're getting towards the middle of the season. That's when we should start seeing the Eagles get back into championship caliber.
Agreed.
Let's talk about the other side of this matchup, though, because you mentioned it, Rand. You said it. We got to give the Broncos their flowers. An interesting note from our research team, they go for 2 when they were down 16-17, about 7.5 left in the game. It was the first go-ahead attempt in Sean Payton's entire head coaching career. So I get you're shaking your head. Did you agree with that? What did you think about it?
Did I agree with it? I did not agree with it. I did not agree with it, but it paid off. I did not agree with it at all.
Why?
Because there was still a ton of time left in the game. It wasn't like it was the end of the game. It was still 7.5 minutes, I think, left when he did it. So what's your end game there? That they still got to get the ball and they can go get a field goal and beat you, whether you got that or not. That's why I didn't agree with it.
Do you think
Sean had the analytics team in the ear. They were playing the analytics game, the game management game. Every team has that guy that says, here's the situation. It's usually not popular to us old school football folks, but there's a rhyme and a reason. And we said as soon as, because Pete was having a fit when they went for
I was
2.
having a fit for it.
And then when they got it, it made sense.
Still didn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense.
It does because they won the game.
Well, they also needed a field goal late to win the game.
Okay.
Yeah, but I do like that you brought that up.
Was that you?
But did they not need the field goal to win the game? Because the Eagles were actually in field goal range that if they didn't get that field goal late, they would have won the game whether he went for the 2 or not, correct?
So what was your preferred, I guess, how would you have managed that situation if you were Sean
I would have
Payton?
kicked the extra point and then played it out. There's too much time left. It was 7.5 minutes left in the game. Way too much time. You can get a couple possessions to go win that game. And if you don't get that, what happens? All the momentum goes back to the Eagles, correct? And if you do get it, they get the ball and then go get a field goal to beat you anyways. So I didn't look. I get why he did it. He was being aggressive. He was on the road. He came back from being down. I get it. I just wouldn't have done it.
But can I propose a different perspective? Imagine if you're Bo Nix in a game to where you haven't played your best so far this season, you're down 2 scores, and your head coach, who is the legendary Sean Payton, says, you know what? I want to see you make a play. I want to see your offense go out there and make a play. This is essentially me handing over the keys. Go make a play for us to show us that we've got our guy.
No, I understand, but he actually played really well. So in the second half, he was really good in the second half.
And you have to take that into consideration to make the decision.
Why do you put it all on one play? Why put it on one play?
You play
to win the game.
You're not playing to win the game. You're playing to put it all in one play. I just didn't agree.
But they won the game.
Okay, but they needed that extra field goal to win the game, did they not?
They won the game.
They needed that field goal to win the game, otherwise they don't win the game.
Pete, it's your birthday, but they won the game.
Yeah, I know they won the game. They would have won the game. They would have won the game if they kicked.
Call Sean Payton and tell him.
Believe me, I would tell him. I got his number. I'll call him right now.
You win the break. You won't.
I'll text him right now and tell him I wouldn't have won for 2.
We'll come back. That's what you get to look forward to when you come back to Game Day Recap. We got to hit another break here on the show. We got to get Sean Payton's perspective on all of this. When we come back, boy, the Ravens have struggled. I know they're dealing with injuries, but the fans were booing John Harbaugh. Is there a fix in sight? We'll break it down when you come back to Game Day Recap. Man, it just goes from bad to worse for the Baltimore Ravens in 2025. As you take a look at the injury report. 7 Week 1 starters out in Week 5. 5 of those guys on defense, and it showed up in a big way. In addition to that, 7 of 2024 Pro Bowlers were also out in Week 5. So it has been tough sledding for this Baltimore roster, and this is why I said it was really challenging. 44 points. The Houston Texans picking up a big win there as they win it 44-10. The Ravens are the first team in 71 years, guys, to allow 37-plus in 4 of their first 5 games since the 1954 Washington team. I'm not sure what their mascot was back then. I was going to say Redskins, but I'm not sure. They've changed it so much. Either way, there are some big concerns going on in Baltimore as we welcome you back to Game Day Recap. Guys, obviously a lot of bad happening right now, kind of understandably so. We laid out the injuries there. Damien, when you look at Baltimore, the concern level here, is this a playoff team in your opinion as they currently stand? Well,
as of right now, no. Now, does that mean they don't have time to get there? No, they definitely can. I mean, when you get Lamar Jackson back, you get some guys on defense back, you definitely have some good things going for you. But what I want to talk about is the most concerning thing for me. It's not even the defense. Let's look at Derrick Henry. Now, we have talked about the fumbling issue, but what's even more important than, well, I shouldn't say more important because there's nothing more important than hold on to the football, but he's only averaging 3.4 yards a carry. And I mean, he went for 170 almost against the Bills, and then since then, it's just been nothing. We haven't seen anything of him, and I don't know if it's a confidence thing. I don't know if the offensive line is playing a part, or the fact that Lamar Jackson being hurt closes and condenses some of those lanes and makes the box a little bit tighter. But obviously, defensively, we're going to talk about that. There's a lot of issues, but if you're the Baltimore Ravens, you didn't sign Derrick Henry all this money for this. At least not for this. To have him running for 3.4 yards a carry, that's not a Derrick Henry problem. That's a team totality not being able to run the football well enough problem. And that's nothing that we've ever talked about with the Baltimore Ravens.
Well, here's the thing. In Derrick Henry's run style, we're talking about a 6'2", 6'3", 250-pound runner that Derrick has to build momentum to get going. You have to be able to create runs to allow Derrick Henry to get to his 5th step, but to get him rolling. And then so these teams have been able to restrict his entry point, to the hole, which now he gets him to stop his feet, and now you don't have that quick start. And so you saw that today. They were held to 44 yards rushing today. But here's the other thing that's taken the Baltimore run game away is the leads. The other team has come into these games with some big leads, and now you have to throw the ball, which takes Derrick Henry out of the football game. And so that takes away from his numbers as well. And then you go back to the previous weeks where he put the ball on the ground 3 games in a row. All of this stuff is now starting to snowball. And is Baltimore out of it? No. But they're going to have a hell of a hill to climb whenever Lamar is back if they're dropping games at this rate and you're playing the rest of the season chasing. And we all know what's that's like for teams that are chasing at the end. You're grasping, and then that leads to some inefficient play because you're chasing points and you're chasing wins, which now gets you out of character and you start doing things that are not conducive really to you winning, but you're just trying to chase these wins because you're trying to make up.
They've had a lot of injuries on defense, but even when guys have been on the field, they have stunk.
They gave up 500 yards of offense to the Bills in Week 1.
It's a terrible, terrible defense. And the identity of the Baltimore Ravens has always been defense. I'm going to smack you in the mouth. I'm going to beat the daylights out of you. You're going to feel it when you play us, and you're going to feel it the next week when you play your next game. Not that way anymore. I mean, the Baltimore Ravens won a championship with the defense that was the best scoring defense of all time. They were suffocating. They were big, they were physical, and they hit you. This defense doesn't even come close to that. When they were on the field, Roquan Smith, who didn't play today, Marlon Humphrey, all of them, when they're on the field, they're supposed to be a dominant defense. We haven't seen that one bit at all, whether it's getting thrown on, getting run on, or whatever. And you're right. When you take the field and you know you can't stop anybody, that takes Derrick Henry out of the game, and it puts more pressure on the quarterback when Lamar Jackson was in there to make plays. This team isn't very good right now, and quite frankly, you're starting to hear rumblings about Harbaugh and his job security. I don't necessarily agree with that right now, by the way, because they've had so much success in his tenure, but has it gotten stale? Has the message been tuned out? Did they put too much into, hey, we're going to look to the postseason because we know whatever we do in the regular season doesn't matter. Our quarterback can win MVPs. We're looking to the postseason. And sometimes you look to the postseason and you forget about what you have to do in the regular season. It comes back to bite you in the behind.
I don't want to jump on the John Harbaugh hot seat train by any stretch of the imagination.
It's out there, though.
I don't. Yeah, and it is.
Fans too. I mean, I mentioned that they were booing him.
They were
today.
booing him, and I just want to preface what I'm going to say by saying I'm not jumping on that train right now. But what I will say is, when you have a coach who has a certain style, like John Harbaugh does, who has a certain way he runs his program, like John Harbaugh does, when they start to not be able to run the ball, like John Harbaugh teams can do, they don't play good defense, they're not physical, they don't out-tough anybody. Now they're becoming a very penalized team on top of that, which again is not a John Harbaugh coach football team. That's why these hot seat conversations start to begin. It's not because, oh, well, we don't like John Harbaugh, we think he sucks. No. It's his team is not playing the way that he is coaching. So can he not motivate them to do that anymore? Is it not connecting anymore? Or is he just not getting enough out of his players? And regardless of what the circumstance is, it starts with the head coach.
I'll say this. This Baltimore defense ranks in the bottom third in 10 statistical categories, including dead last in points allowed coming into the week. And to follow up on your point about the messaging, right? Baltimore hasn't particularly drafted and developed like Baltimore usually does. This is a very veteran-laden team where you have a ton of veterans from other places, and now you got to try to indoctrinate these people into the Baltimore way, when there was a time where you just rolled with the guys that you drafted and guys that you brought in that just came in and knew what it was like to be a Baltimore Raven. So instead of, in my personal opinion, instead of putting John Harbaugh on a hot seat or getting rid of John Harbaugh, it's time to flip this roster with guys that know what it means to be a Baltimore Raven and have your own guys, and then get rid of some of the veterans.
Real quick on Harbaugh, remember, Tomlin was on the hot seat last year. They talked about it. Your coach, Bill Belichick, was fired. Don Shula was fired. They all eventually get fired at some point. It's just, when do you do it? I don't think now is the time for John Harbaugh. But if this team is a disaster the rest of the way, provided he gets guys back, then there's going to be a conversation at the end of the year.
Let's put a bow on this. If we had a panic meter, 1 is like, I'm not really that worried, it's just a rough stretch. 5 is like DEFCON 1. Where are we at with the Ravens right now, Dame?
I'm 3, right in the middle. I think that there's a lot of room for improvement. I think they can get back to a 5, or they can go down to a 1. I think it's either way, but right now they're not very good on offense. They're not very good on defense. It's not full panic mode because, again, you get Lamar Action Jackson back and you get some guys on defense, but right now you're not looking very good.
I don't know what you expect this team to do with 7 Pro Bowlers out.
It's hard.
I mean,
that's the hand you're dealt, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
and yes, you have to make do with what you have, but there's only so many good football players that are available to you to sign at this point, and especially to fill in for Pro Bowl. This is just the cards they were dealt. They're not the only team dealing with injuries. And we have seen teams over previous years kind of lose their season because of injuries and be affected by injuries. This is just something that the Baltimore Ravens are going through right now that's unprecedented for them. To me, this is no reason to raise the flag on Harbaugh or DeCosta or anybody over there. This is just the cards they're dealt in 2025.
But start competing. I mean, at least show up and compete.
Be competitive.
I mean, okay, you play with a backup quarterback. We get it. You had guys out, but go compete. They didn't compete today, and that's the worst part of it.
How worried are you?
It's a 4.
Okay.
But
Rand, you didn't give 1.
No, I said a 1.
Oh, you said a 1. Oh,
Yeah.
All right, so there's some concern there. Do want to give a shout out to C.J. Stroud, by the way, one of his best games to this point of the season. So I had a really great.
Looking a little fast today, huh?
His athleticism, right?
Yeah, you got into it.
You know who wasn't looking good today, guys? It's Pete's favorite team, the Miami Dolphins. Boy, did you think that they were going to roll into Charlotte and leave with an L. No Tyreek, a lot of problems for Mike McDaniel and his capri pants. We're going to break it down on the other side. It is the Titans picking up their first win, 22-21, and I mentioned it. It was a wild one. We could go in a lot of different directions in that game, but let's start with the positives. Cam Ward and the Titans, a round of applause. That number 1 overall pick getting his win. Dame, what'd you think?
I mean, this was an ugly game. It was very sloppy compared to what based on what we just saw with that interception fumble turned to a touchdown. But, you know, I have to give Cam Ward a lot of credit. He took a lot of ownership and a lot of accountability for the way that this team has played so far, especially offensively earlier in the year. And what did he do? He went out and beat a team. And not only did he beat a team, but he came from behind. As you see, they were down 9 points in the final 5 minutes of regulation. That was just a gutsy performance by a young quarterback who's trying to make a name for himself. Got his first win in the win column as a starting quarterback in the NFL. So got to tip my cap to the guy.
Talk about the swing that play was that we just showed by DeMercado, because that was going to be a runaway situation for the Cardinals, and instead it changes the whole game, Rand.
But that's why we always preach taking care of the football. And you said it during the highlight, the letters and logos. You are taught. And now for Emari DeMarcado, young man, you're going to be on the entire league's Friday tape when it comes around about scenarios and ball security and all of that. And that's just one of those situations where if you're a coach, especially where the league is now in terms of taking care of the football, this is when all you can do is facepalm and say, like, what do we talk about? And what do we talk about? But that was such a great swing. So congrats to Calvin and Patrice's baby boy Cam for getting his first win and in comeback fashion. And we were talking about it as we were watching. Like, the Titans might come back and win this.
You said it.
Well,
like midway through the third, you said
could feel it. You could feel it.
And those are, when that fumble happened, the interception fumble, that's when you know it's like, oh, it's one of those days.
Sometimes the ball just bounces the other way.
What do you say? Logos and
letters and logos.
You should change it to idiots and morons, because that's what they are.
Oh, Peter.
Come on, guys.
Peter.
Come on, guys.
Now, no, hold on. To your point.
In a row.
To your point, I would say that was poor. It was a poor learning opportunity for DeMarcado because he just saw what happened.
He doesn't get that. He doesn't get that because we just saw it last week.
Well, no. That's what I'm saying. He did not learn. You can learn from another man's mistakes now, and you can watch somebody on tape and say, I'm not going to be that guy. But instead, he looked at it and said, okay, that was a bad play. Let me go and do one better.
Yeah, no, after what happened last week, how do you allow yourself to do that this week? It makes no sense. That tells you don't pay attention. He's not paying attention. They probably didn't put it up, or...
No, it was put up on Friday.
It was.
You think it was?
Yeah, it was. It's one of two things, Pete Prisco. Either you don't know or you don't care. One of two things.
And that's which is worse? Don't caring is
don't care. Don't care. And I guarantee you that was a not caring, and not in terms of, oh, I don't care about the team or I don't care about winning or losing, but that lapse of caring in that one split second, that cost them. And I can say 100% definitively that play with A.D. Mitchell last week, that was showed across all 32 NFL teams.
Absolutely.
Okay, here's what I don't understand. When A.D. Mitchell did it, he was putting up to celebrate, drop the ball. Dumb. This guy is just dropping it for the sake of dropping it. Why can't you wait until you run out of the end zone and then drop it? Nobody's ever given me a real reason why guys want to drop it before they go in. What's the point?
Well, I don't think they go in wanting to drop it.
What's the point of dropping it even close to the goal line?
Listen, they're trying to get swag points. They're not worried about what Pete Prisco thinks about them.
That's why I called them idiots and morons.
They want to flip it and get their swag, and then as soon as the game is over, they want to go see who got a pick of it. And
is there swag? Let me ask you that. Is there swag for dropping the ball?
No, I'm with you right now, Pete Prisco. No, and I was a guy. Listen, I would carry that thing with me until I got to the stands and hand it to a fan, just because I live by a rule, and this different times, different standards. But Burton Burns, my old running back coach at Bama, used to tell us, if you don't get a ball to the official after every time you touch it, you ain't gonna get it again. And it gets you in that type of frame of mind that under no circumstances do you just put the ball on the ground. And it's just, again, it's you don't know or you don't care. It ain't about swag.
I'm going to tell you like this, because I'm just trying to give him an excuse. That's just what
No, we're not going to give him that excuse.
Listen, I didn't score enough in the NFL to flip the ball. I wanted to keep my ball. I wanted to keep my ball.
You wanted the tape on it with the date, the score.
And I have that. And I will tell you this, my first NFL touchdown, I scored, the whistle blew, I flipped the ball, and then I was like, oh, where's the ball? I need this. I don't know if I'm going to ever get back. But again, young man, I know you didn't mean to, and I know you didn't intend on costing your team the ball game.
But you did.
You did. But letters and logos. Take the ball into the end zone, letters and logos, hear the whistle, and then do what you want to do. At that point, I don't care. But get the ball in there, have the whistle blown, and at least see the ref with the hands up saying that you scored a touchdown, because you don't like to pinpoint one play as to why you lost a football game, but that one play really swung the game, in my opinion.
And he had a 71-yard run. They wouldn't be talking about it.
When you hold on to the football, when you carry the football, you carry the fate of everybody's families in the organization, everybody's jobs, everybody's livelihood. Remember that, young football players. You are carrying not just the football, the entire weight of the football team, everybody's families, and the wins and losses of the organization.
Dame, I think at some point, man, we're going to have to,
Should we do a tape?
I think we're going to have to do a seminar or something We
already saw a fumble in the Bills, two fumbles in the Bills-Patriots game so far.
We ask in combine settings, what type of learner are you? Are you an auditory learner? Are you a learn by doing?
Visual
Are you a visual learner? We've been talking about it.
We got
taking care of ball security. At some point, I think, Damien, we're just going to have to show
I
these
agree.
guys.
Jack, producer Jack, you hear us, producer Jack? All right.
I want to see that.
Maybe we got something cooking when it comes to that seminar there. I do want to pivot and talk about Pete's favorite team because the Dolphins went from winning their first game last week. I know it was this one was on the road last week. The guy who flew the airplane that had the fire Mike McDaniel, fire Chris Greer, he added Tua Tagovailoa's name to it their last home game.
He got too much money.
Right? And free
for
time on his
another day.
hands.
But when we talk about the head coach, guys, and we've had this conversation, it feels like every single week that we've talked about the Dolphins, is Mike McDaniel on the hot seat. I kind of want to push the story forward here because they're, 1-4? They don't have Tyreek. The offense hasn't been spectacular. The defense has been spotty. Pete, when you think about a change in leadership, do you think that that's what this team really needs? And if so, who takes over? Because that's always the question when we talk about firing coaches is it going to make a difference?
Yeah, and here's my belief on firing coaches. I don't think it makes a difference. I really don't. And you know how I felt about Mike McDaniel. I don't think he probably should have come back this year. But the reality is, if you fire him, is it going to make the team better? I mean, Anthony Weaver would be the guy that I think they would make the head coach. And I think he has a message. I love his message when he gets up on the podium, but how's his message to the players? And do they respect him? Do they respond to him? I just don't think it's going to change your outcome this season. It's not. What it does, if you made him the interim head coach, you could find out if maybe he's going to be the full-time head coach. Now, that doesn't always work out well.
Never does.
Never. Well, it has. There's been a couple where it has. But the bottom line is, I don't mind the message if you do make the change. Here's the problem. Anthony Weaver is a defensive coordinator. His defense right now is awful. They can't stop the run. Look at these numbers. Rico Dowdle, go ahead. Well, he's not a star running back by any stretch of the imagination. 206 rushing yards today against that defense. So you're going to fire Mike McDaniel and replace him with the defensive coordinator whose team just got run on again? And that's been a problem all year long. They can't stop the run.
They have 3 coaches on the offensive side of the ball that have had either head coach or interim head coach experience. Eric Studesville, I think he was an interim head coach, I think about 10 years or so ago. And then you have John Embry, the tight end coach, who I know a lot of players respect and revere. He was a head coach at Colorado for a couple years. And so you have that. But in my opinion, and it could be a biased opinion, I worked with Mike and I know Mike really well. Mike has, in the past, he's done some good things in the earlier part of his career with this football team. Now, I know what things have been here recently in this current year, but to me, allow him to finish the season. I think he's earned that right to finish the season because like Pete said, firing him today, tomorrow, 5 days from now isn't going to change much. Allow him to coach this thing all the way through and let's see what happens. They don't have Tyreek. Tyreek's not coming back. But in my opinion, this offense at least looks like it's starting to play better because I don't think not having Tyreek obviously is a big loss, but now you're not having to focus on, let me make sure we get Tyreek his 8 targets, and now you can line up and allow the quarterback to just throw to the open man.
It was the Panthers' largest comeback win in team history. They were down 17. They came back to win this one. This was a battle of your Crimson Tide behind center here between Bryce Young and Tua Tagovailoa. What did you think of that matchup, and what did you take away from this game?
Well, I took away from the game that the Miami Dolphins are just in a world of trouble. They're in a world of hurt, and otherwise we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. What I can say is I am very proud of the maturation of Bryce Young and just seeing him continue to develop. Everybody is well, I shouldn't say everybody. People have thrown the talent on him. People have given up on him, whether it's for his height, whether it's because we haven't seen the Bryce magic that we saw at Alabama. But he still consistently shows up and just does his absolute best. Sometimes that's not good enough based on the team and the hand that he's been dealt. But sometimes in a day like today, he's going to come behind. He's going to get you a victory because he doesn't care what people say. He don't care about his size. He just cares about going out and playing football and having that childlike joy again, playing the game that we all love. So kudos to Bryce Young, continuing to just duke it out week in and week out and scrap out wins whenever he can.
Everyone thought that this was going to be a walk-away win for the Dolphins, so shout out to the Panthers there getting it done. If we go from bad to worse, the Jets, man, like we all thought that this was going to be completely different under Aaron Glenn. Instead, Looking at a Jet squad that is 0-5. The last time a coach performed this poorly to open the season was Adam Gase back in 2020, and we all know how that ended up. Pete, I know you wanted to talk about the coaching specifically here because, again, we were all really excited to see what Aaron Glenn could do with his former team. What's not been working?
Well, they're sloppy. They're one of the sloppiest teams I've seen in a long, long time. They have pre-snap penalties. They don't tackle. I mean, the tackling is horrible. They lead the league in missed tackles, and that's usually a sign of want to. If if you make mistakes, that's okay. If you're not physically good enough, that's okay. If you don't tackle well, that means you don't have the want to and the desire to go out there and do it. And so when I see that, I say penalties, don't have desire to play, and guys are missing tackles all over the place, and guys haven't improved. When you see a coach come in and the team doesn't improve, particularly the defensive side of the ball, he's made his bones on the defensive side of the ball. He was a hell of a defensive player. He was a feisty, tough defensive player. There's nothing feisty or tough about his defense right now, and that's the biggest concern about the Jets.
I thought his biggest, cornerstone piece of this defense was going to be Sauce Gardner, and something that you just said, Pete Prisco, none of these players are getting better. I have not seen Sauce Gardner improve as a corner since he got to the league. I still see bad technique at times. I still see him being handsy, grabbing receivers. And to all of Pete's point, if your number one corner that you just paid a boatload of money to can't cover, well, what does that say? When even your best player has to play well at some point to give you a fighting chance or give you a hope that maybe the talent that you have at least can maybe get you out of some certain situations. But we saw George Pickens take the top off on Sauce Gardner. Kind of like, go ahead, show Haley. She getting her little,
I was doing my Rand dance from earlier. We're going to talk about the Cowboys in a second, so I'm holding my tongue.
But again, in totality, they look poorly coached. Their best players aren't playing very well. And when coaches aren't coaching well, players aren't playing well, you're 0-5, just like the Jets are.
It's tough. It is tough, especially when you think about the history as well with the Jets. They've been trying to get this playoff situation under control, too. So a lot to monitor.
Well, the other thing is we went into the season thinking we'd have to worry. Maybe Justin Fields can just manage the game because the defense will be so good. They'll be able, and the running game will be good, and they'll be able to sneak their way into the postseason. No, he wasn't awful today. The defense has been awful.
It is tough. I don't feel that bad because, as you saw from my dance, the Dallas Cowboys getting it done. And I know I'm going to sound like a homer when I say this, guys.
You are.
It's all right.
But Dak Prescott, my nose is running here. Dak Prescott is playing at an all-time, I know, I'm sorry,
yes.
Damien, at an all-time caliber level right now. He's got this offense rolling around. Oh my God, LOL. I'm over here trying not to get my snot out of your face. But it's hard when you look at the record, you look at this team, and you look at the second half of the schedule. But Dak specifically, guys, how are we feeling? I mean, this is really special stuff from him this year.
I said this the other day when we were on, and I said he's been one of the most underappreciated quarterbacks in this league. 2 years ago, when he was healthy and played the whole season, he led the league in touchdown passes. And yet everybody questions him all the time. He's one of the most scrutinized, questioned quarterbacks in this league, and all he does is go out and make plays. You look at him, 4 touchdown passes today. I mean, he was phenomenal.
And to everyone, Jay Ferguson, the running back, Javonte Williams.
And he's just comfortable. He looks comfortable in the offense. And there, by the way, we're talking about a team that's playing behind a banged-up offensive line. Across the board, they're banged up. So I give him a lot of credit. He's carrying this team right now. And you're right. You look at their schedule. Right now, they're in a little soft lull here. And maybe they can win a couple games and get back into this thing. I think when you look at it, offensively, they're good. Defensively, they're getting better. They had 5 sacks today. 5.
Just like Jerry Jones predicted, huh? They're going to get better on defense.
Well, he's not wrong, that man. He's not wrong.
What I want to say is, we can talk ad nauseum about Dak. He's the MVP of the National Football League right now. And I think something that is helping this Cowboys team just as much as Dak Prescott has got to be Javonte Williams. And I've hammered this point. Since he has joined the Cowboys, since he has found a new home, it's like he has unlocked a level of potential that we might not have known that he even had. Another game with 135 yards and a touchdown. And what I love about Javonte Williams isn't just the numbers as far as yards or touchdowns, but it's the amount of carries that he's getting. They trust him. They see him as a workhorse back, and they see him as that guy that can be the steady pace whenever the pass game may or may not be clicking. Obviously, it is right now. But they've got a run game where they can just run at people, direct, downhill, call and run it. They don't have to tag RPOs with it. They don't have to fake here and then throw a bubble out there. They can just line up with Javonte Williams and run right at you and give you body blows throughout the game.
It always goes to the running backs for you, too, doesn't it?
It just makes sense.
What, you want me to just keep talking about Dak?
Actually, yeah.
I said he's the MVP. What do you want from me? What do y'all want from me?
about George Pickens while we're here.
What I was going to say about Javonte was the same thing. He's averaging almost 6 yards a carry. And you talk about that, I think it was the end of the half run where you're just trying to run it out there, and then he pops one for 66, and then you get points to end the half, which allows you to lap. I think they scored 20 points in the second quarter alone, and that really gave them, a big bump. But remind me again why we hate Dak Prescott so much.
Because of the star that's on his helmet.
That's
because
exactly
when
right,
he's
because
healthy
of Jerry Jones.
and he's in the lineup and he's playing, you're going to get 9 to 10 wins. Now, what they do in the postseason.
Well, that's why people criticize him now.
But in order to have a record in the postseason, you have to get there. And there are a ton of quarterbacks that we love and we praise and we give all this credit to that don't get to the postseason. But Dak Prescott, when he's in the lineup, he gets to the postseason, but yet he is the most scrutinized guy that's out there. Now, the one guy I want to talk about who seems to really have found a home for himself within this offense is Jake Ferguson. He is getting the ball. Like, the numbers aren't gaudy, but I think he has 7 catches a day, 2 touchdowns. You go back to last week or a couple weeks ago, we were joking, like, this guy needs some rest. He needs a vet day off because he was thrusting into the line. Felt like he played both sides of the ball and all the snaps on special teams. But this offense has found their way. And like Pete said, they don't have all their offensive linemen and they're mixing, matching guys around. But with Dak back there behind center, it's the calming presence. And again, we talked about it with Tampa when Mike Evans is back, and then you got Chris Godwin back, and then now with Emeka in the lineup, what is that going to look like? I'm interested to see what is it going to look like when CD is back, because now George Pickens is getting rolling, and now Jake Ferguson is going to be a big part of that short to intermediate passing game. Oh, and they finally have a threat to turn around and hand to it, Javonte Williams. What is this offense going to look like when they get all their weapons back?
At Carolina, Washington at home next 2 weeks. I mean, you look at it, they could get the 4-2-1.
Let's be honest.
They come back from the bye and they take on the Raiders.
Right.
The fate of the Cowboys right now, the fate of their season is on this defense.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on the defense. You mentioned Jake Ferguson. The reason why he's playing better, Rand, is because he's getting married. He's got a nice little fiance at the house keeping him in
He
check.
liked it and put a ring on it.
Happy wife, happy life. All right, got to hit a break here on Game Day Recap. When we come back, things not so happy for the Chargers. We gave you a definition last week when it comes to the football team out in LA. We're going to revisit the dictionary and talk about the Chargers when you come back. Welcome back to Game Day Recap, Week 5 edition. We're bringing it back. The Chargers, once again, charging. Pete, tell us what charging is for those who were not with us last week.
It's when you start feeling good about yourself and they start playing well. At some point, you know it's going to happen. Something bad is going to go wrong, and something bad went wrong today.
Yeah, a lot went bad today when we look at this matchup and how it went against the Commanders. Obviously, Jayden Daniels back behind center makes a big difference. But if we talk about the Chargers specifically, Pete, they couldn't get anything going post first quarter. They were shut out for the rest of the game after scoring 10 in the opening frame, and you obviously cannot get wins done that way.
Well, you know what happened? The defense of the Commanders decided they were going to attack Justin Herbert. The offensive line is down, no Alt, no Slater, and they decided, you know what, in the second half, we're going after him. And they went after him, and he turned the ball over. He made mistakes. He didn't play very well. He looked jumpy in the pocket. Then they fumbled. They just made a ton of mistakes in the second half. There was a play in this game in the first half where they had a punt return for a touchdown. But what happened? They roughed the punter. They go down, Washington goes down and gets a field goal out of that. Well, all of a sudden, you're in a game. And it shouldn't have been that way. The game should have been, you have a team on the West Coast playing back-to-back road games. If you get up in that situation, that game is over. They go home. They're packing the bags looking about going home. Well, it didn't happen that way, and they chargered. It's vintage chargering.
We talk about the Cardinals and if they're kind of our frauds this year, right, based on what they've seen. Rand, when you look at the Chargers, we were so excited about those first, 2-3 weeks of the season even. Did they kind of trick us to open, or are they just going through a rough patch, in your opinion?
I'm on the side of I think they kind of tricked us a little bit because, and I alluded to it earlier when I was talking about Dak, when I was like, we give him such a hard time, but we love Justin Herbert for what we think Justin Herbert can be. And you talk about numbers were efficient today from an attempt and passing completion standpoint, 22 of 29, but he threw for 166, so just 4.8 yards a pass. And like Pete said, Washington had 5 sacks. They weren't scared of him. They went after him, and they were able to get home. And so, for me, I think the big thing with this football team especially today, was that they gave up 163 yards on the ground and they had 10 penalties. Like, that's not a Jim Harbaugh team. That's not who they are.
Yeah, a lot of people got it better than the Chargers do this week. Let's talk about the Lions, though. Big win over the Bengals. Jake Browning had no fun today on the football field.
Buddy.
He was struggling. But it's interesting, Damien, when we look at the Lions and the season they kind of had that hiccup against the Packers, but they've gotten right back on track with a lot of offensive firepower. But you kind of talked about the defense earlier kind of being a little bit of a concern. What do you think about this Lions team to this point after the win today?
I think they're offense heavy. I think that they rely a lot on the superstars on defense of Aiden Hutchinson, guys like Kirby Joseph. We've seen guys like Terry and Arnold struggle in coverage. And defensively, I just don't think they match the same intensity of the offense. Now, luckily, they do have a plethora, an embarrassment of riches, if you will, of talent on the offensive side of the ball. And those guys usually play like that. There's one star that they have that I'm looking forward to seeing them get going, and that is Jamison Williams, because as dynamic as he is, as the way that he can flip the game upside down with just his speed, something that you can't coach, you got to get this guy involved. And yes, you can beat a Cincinnati Bengals team that's got no Joe Burrow without him. But if you want to get to where you want to go, you got to get a guy like Jamison Williams going. And listen, I love Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's your old, reliable pickup truck. But I'll tell you this, if I got a Ferrari in the garage, I'm going to pull that thing out and let it ride sometimes. So they need to get Jamison Williams going, not necessarily because they can't win without him, but they can't get to where they want to go and then finally get over that hump as the Detroit Lions. I don't think they can do it without him.
I'll say this, and I'll just be brief on it. I think this defense is built to play with a lead. I think that's what we see now. It's going to be, we'll get to see the real Lions when they're in a tough, duke it out matchup, and can the defense get the stops at that point, because otherwise they're so used to scoring points, getting explosive plays, and then now the defense can pin their ears back and attack versus you have to play it all out when you're playing, an evenly matched team. I think that's when we'll really see who this defense is.
Two quick things on the line or on this game. Jared Goff is playing at an MVP level too. We don't mention him at all, but he is. He's putting up unreal numbers. Completion percentage is amazing. And two, you said Jake Browning wasn't having much fun. He should be having a lot of fun. He's playing. I mean, the bottom line is he shouldn't probably be starting games right now.
I don't know.
He's not having any fun.
Well, he threw 3 touchdown passes.
Yeah.
But you saw him on this side.
It wasn't very good.
Right?
He's going to be in a body bag soon if they don't start protecting him.
When your backup quarterback is starting in the NFL, you're dead. Period.
You did say that the second Joe Burrow went out, you said the season was done. So that is no surprise there. The Colts bounced back in a big way. Of course, everyone was a little concerned last week, but they get it done against the Raiders. I feel bad for Max Crosby because defensively he's doing everything for them. And it just doesn't matter. I wonder how much, Damien, our mentality is, I'm like looking at this picture of Daniel Jones. How much of that has impacted how well this Colts team has played?
Well, Daniel Jones is the key to success, and we didn't think that we were going to say this about Daniel Jones at any point in his career the way it started. One thing that I want to mention, and I'll keep this brief, and this kind of explains why Daniel Jones is so instrumental to their offense. He scored 40 points twice in 5 weeks with the Indianapolis Colts. You know how many times he did that with the New York Giants?
None.
0. And what's so important about it, when I watch the Colts play, these players, they trust Daniel Jones. I don't think we can say that when he was still in New York. There were a lot of rumbling about, the guys don't like Daniel Jones. They want to switch a quarterback. They're not happy. The guys in Indianapolis, they love playing with Daniel Jones. They see what he can do, the talent that he actually has. He's putting it on display, and they're following his lead.
They like playing with Jonathan Taylor as well, Rand.
Hey, man, I screw up his name all the time because I always end up calling him Jonathan Stewart. So, Producer Jack, I'm Jonathan Taylor. 3 tutties on the ground today. Didn't have to have a phenomenal game in terms of stats and rushing, but did what this offense needed him to do. And again, another efficient performance from Daniel Jones, 20 of 29, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns, didn't turn the ball over. So he's only got 1 game so far this year where he's turned the ball over. And this is a good, well-rounded Colts football team.
They have scored on 65% of their drives this season. That's the highest by any team through 5 games since at least 2000. So he's got them cooking in the right way. On the opposite side of this one, Pete, Geno is doing the complete opposite. He leads the league in interceptions. It's like someone telling that they are the team in black and silver out there, Pete.
5 in the last 2 games. I mean, it can't happen, Geno. You're just not playing. Now, one of them was tipped at the line of scrimmage, but you still have to be able to take care of the football, and they're not taking care of the football. And again, when the Raiders got him, what they say, we have our guy, right? We have our guy. Again, the questions now are out there. Do they have their guy for the long term? He is playing shorthanded. There were a lot of guys out of the lineup today, but bottom line is Geno better pick it up, or this is going to be a really long season. He might not be the starter going forward.
I was going to say, do you see Kenny Pickett's the backup?
Not
do you
now.
see a change
Not now.
over?
Kenny Pickett's not going to change that. No, I'm talking about.
It's just like firing your head coach. It ain't going to do much.
It ain't going to do anything.
All right, we'll leave that there. I do want to wrap up this conversation by talking about the Giants because we were so enamored at what Jackson Dart was able to do last week. The headlines were the Jackson Dart era has begun, and yet Spencer Rattler comes out and picks up his first win on the season. He is the first Saints quarterback to be drafted by that organization and win a game since 1998. Danny Werfel did it. So it is a big deal for the Saints.
Danny Werfel, go Gators.
We want to give the Saints their flowers, so we'll go two parts. Pete, what did you think of the Saints? And then I'll let you guys handle the Giants.
Look, Spencer Rattler did some good things today. He threw for 225 yards. He handled the game. And, you know, we went into that game thinking, okay, the Giants' defensive front's going to get after him and they're going to pressure him into mistakes. He didn't make the mistakes. He was the better quarterback today. Jackson Dart is incredible with his legs today. What do you have? 7 carries for 55 yards? But he's also taking off too quickly. And that's a problem for young quarterbacks. You got to go stand in there and go through your progressions. And then, of course, the Scatterboo fumble, that was a backbreaker. I mean, it changed the whole complexion of the game. You can't have that happen. And we've been seeing so many fumbles lately.
And here's the thing. We can confidently say that Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterboo, those are going to be the two guys on offense that they want to build a culture around. As young guys, again, I feel like I'm a broken record at this point. You have to understand that ball security is job security. Jackson Dart running, scrambling with the football, careless. He had one hand on it, swinging around like a loaf of bread. What happens? It just slips out of his hand, and it's a fumble. Cam Scatterboo, again, he's been a great addition to this offense. He brings a toughness and a grit that they haven't seen in a long time. But when you give the ball up, you become invaluable as a player. And I'm not saying Cam Scatterboo is invaluable. He's not. But when you can't take care of the football, you become an invaluable resource. And that's not what these two guys want to become because, quite frankly, they are the future of the New York Giants.
By the way, no sacks. None for the New York Giants. Zero. All that
Bad.
capital and draft capital and cachet and money they put on that thing, nothing. They got 0 sacks tonight.
I'm going to keep it simple. 3 of 10 on third down, the Giants were. 5 turnovers. And the Saints were able to capitalize and score 12 points on those 5 turnovers. I don't care what you think about a team and their record. When you're on the road with a rookie quarterback and you got a rookie runner and you turn the ball over 5 times and you're not converting third down and the other team is taking those turnovers and scoring points off of them, that's a recipe for a loss.
The Giants are the first team in nearly a decade with a turnover on 5 straight drives. I'll give you one guess who the team to do it before was.
The Giants.
No.
Cardinals.
No.
Bucks.
Jets. We got to go to break.
I was close.
You were
close. It was close.
It was the Jets. And speaking of the Jets, we're going to talk about the Jets and Breece Hall and all of these guys who just can't seem to keep the football in their hands. You ask for a demo, you get a demo from our running backs on the other side. Welcome back to Game Day Recap. We've been talking about ball security for the last few weeks of the NFL season. Derrick Henry kind of been the poster child for it this year. 3 fumbles. We're also seeing the Bills and the Patriots on Sunday Night Football tonight with some fumbles. So who better to talk to than our resident running backs? They know a thing or two about toting the rock and keeping it in their hands. What's that phrase, Rand? Letters and logos?
Letters and logos.
All right, so you guys are going to take us to class a little bit. Ball Security 101. This feels like my favorite class I would have taken in college, guys. Dame, take it away.
You see how I'm admiring this thing right here. I'm caressing this thing. I'm taking care of this thing. Listen. Y'all ask, we will deliver. I'm going to rename this from the Ball Security 101. We're just going to call this HATMF. You know what that stands for? High and tight MFer. This is where we're going to start right here. Listen, we have seen too many opportunities where guys are losing the football. Now, Rand, former GM, talk to the people about the importance of ball security.
Okay, so we have a meeting on Thursday, and it's called The Ball.
Let me go ahead and get it right.
Let me see the route. Let me see the route.
Please. Gently, you see how we care for the football.
It's called The Ball, and the ball is everything, right? And Dame said it. What was your saying about the ball? In terms of taking care of the ball and what it means?
Whenever you carry the football, you carry the fate of everybody in the organization, including their families.
And so that's why the ball is everything. So you go through on this meeting and you show every opportunity teams have had to take the ball away or the situations where teams have given the ball away. And that's why we're having this meet right now, Dane, because too many teams have given the ball away. Interception numbers around the league are down. Believe it or not, they're down.
But fumbles?
But fumbles are up. So teams are fighting every chance. And you got guys like Peanut Tillman, who has a patented move called the peanut punch to take it out of there. Guys like Fred Warner are experts at this. But Dane, let's go through and talk to him and show him how you're supposed to carry the football.
Okay, so you take the football. We're gonna go very slow, okay? Step by step. You get the ball, you go from here. If you're in contact, so Rand, you're a defender. Two hands on the football. It seems like an easy concept, but we're having to remind people. Now, this is double in trouble. That's what we call it. You're in trouble, you double, you put two hands on it. As a ball carrier, though, when you break to the second, third level, and you want to use this offhand for stiff arms, et cetera, this is the proper position. HAT, remember, that stands for high and tight. High and tight. All these points of contact.
Keeping this wrist above the elbow. And then you look at here. You see here, he's got the claw. That's to protect the tip of the ball. Now you got the pressure from your forearm to protect the ball, your bicep, your rib cage.
Hold on now, look at that bicep right there.
See it?
Hold on now.
It's still working out. And then you also use your chest plate to protect the ball. But I'm going to tell you another key piece to protect the ball in this situation. Your mindset. We don't talk about that part enough. We got the physical part.
Yes.
That's what you lift weights for. But the mindset is about the ball. You can go back and watch any fumble and
please, hold on. There we go. There we go.
And a lot of these fumbles are coming as the guy, you're here, you're high and tight, whether you're holding it like this.
You got guys with arms coming like this.
But here's the problem. When guys are going to the ground, this is when the ball gets away. And then that's when the ball gets
Because, hold on, do that again, like you're going to the ground. Now let it go.
And the ball's out. And
my 1-year-old son could have done that.
And we call that part right there, that's when you're using the ball to break your fall. And a lot of fumbles come in those type situations, Dame, and that's what we're seeing. You talk about Kyron Williams the other night, Thursday Night Football. Your team's got a chance to score to go ahead in the game, and you come through the hole, and as you're breaking your fall, big Alfred Collins comes through and punches it out. Now, here's another part, because here's the mindset.
Talk to me.
Fourth down came later in the game. In overtime, and you need 1 yard. I personally, if you go back and you watch the run, he didn't attack the hole like he normally would because the mindset, he's thinking about him putting the ball on the ground. And that happens. You see that cringe, that slight cringe right before you enter the point of contact? A lot of that. Now, the entry point was blocked, but if you're getting it on fourth down and you know this is a gotta have it moment, and there's that slight little hesitation, is because he's focusing on wrapping up the football. And that's a part becomes of the mindset. You put the ball on the ground, that happens, right? That happens. But the big thing is when it happens repetitively, it becomes mental.
And one last thing to add to the mindset. When you carry this football and you cross the goal line, you have to have the same mindset that you have when you're running through traffic, that nobody's going to take it off of you. When you see that white goal line, you got to have the same exact mindset. And I say this because you would think it's second nature, but how many times in just the last 2 weeks have we seen guys crossing the goal line? They're celebrating, they're getting their pictures. Meanwhile, the official is doing this. You know what this means? You fumble through the end zone. It is a touchback. Points are coming off the board. Ball is going to the other team. Listen, ball security is job security. That was a nice throw, nice catch. Now we're about to throw it back to Haley because we think we're starting this ball security one-on-one off on the right foot.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like I should get some kudos there for the assist. Ran showed off that ball security.
The way that just went right across.
Laid it up perfectly. Fellas, we appreciate the breakdown. After the break, we're talking winners and losers. Baker Mayfield with a big one. We'll tell you who he is the winner of next. Welcome back to...
Crying with your mommy is a little much for me. It's the big difference.
Who's popping
their head in? Yeah, who's speaking of serial killers? Who's just walked in the room?
Didn't scare me.
Yeah, look at that smile.
He didn't scare me.
He looked like a kid in a candy shop. Wow. I've never seen Pete Prisco smile like that.
Show. It is a very special day for our Pete Prisco.
That was when my cat jumped on the middle of the head. I had to throw him off.
Our Pete Prisco is celebrating his birthday today. Pete, happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Pete.
Thanks for being with us.
To you. Happy birthday to you.
We got the
Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Yeah. How does it feel? How does it feel?
Jinx.
You know what? Here's how it feels. Here's how it
Check
feels.
that out.
On my 65th birthday today, I went to the gym this morning and repped 65-pound dumbbells 20 times. How about that?
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and it only went to 75. Otherwise, I kept going.
Wow.
I used to throw them 100 and 110s around when I was
Stop.
Okay.
We were rolling with you on the 65.
No. I got video proof of it.
Pete's got receipts. Remember when we challenged him to text Sean earlier?
He did.
He did get back to him, and you guys
we won't say
He disagreed with me. Of course he did, but he disagreed with
all
me.
of us.
Right. He's a smart man.
You, Sean Payton, and the two of you are all entitled to your wrong opinion.
You're entitled to your right one. Let's get to some winners and losers from Week 5, and I believe, Pete, we're going to start with you with your winner. So let's start there. The birthday boy. Who's your winner today?
Baker Mayfield, 389, 2 touchdowns, but what I love in a league where teams are afraid to throw the football down the field, he averaged 11 yards a attempt today. That's fantastic. I love it. 8 touchdown passes, 1 interception on the season. He should be in the MVP talk. The Bucs, despite all the injuries, are right there at 4-1.
Rand?
I'm going to roll with Brian Callahan, getting his first win of the season, but getting his first win of the season in his new role as this CEO head coach. Got his team in position to score 16 unanswered points to come back, win on the road. He's been facing a lot of criticism and has been dealing with it for a couple weeks now. At least for this week, Callie, you can quiet the noise and you have an opportunity to build some momentum as you play the Raiders next week. So, Callie, you're my winner for the day.
I like that. Listen, I got 2 winners. I got to go Pete Prisco again. Not just is it his birthday, but first and foremost, let's acknowledge the fact not a lot of people get to make it to where you are. So you are a very blessed individual, and we are very blessed to get to work with you and see you.
And I got about 40 more years.
Yeah,
left
buddy.
To criticize
Yes. All right. Enough of that.
I will.
To the real winner, I'm going with Cam Ward, quarterback of the Tennessee Titans. Listen, he called himself out. He called everybody in the organization out last week. He said, we are hot ASS. And he was right. But what did he do? He took accountability. He put the work in this week. He went 1-0 this week. He inspired the guys around him. He got his first win as an NFL starter. Hats off to Cam Ward.
I'm going to keep the quarterback conversation going. I'm going with Bryce Young and the Panthers as my winner this week. Look, I don't know that anyone gave them a massive chance to beat the Dolphins, and yet they did. You mentioned it earlier. Bryce went out there. He's gone through a lot. So shout out to Bryce Young and to these Panthers. That's kind of where the positivity ends, my friend, because now we're talking losers. My loser is the Chargers. For the second week, not having good performances. You mentioned it, Rand. We kind of feel a little bamboozled maybe when it comes to Jim Harbaugh and what's going on there. So Chargers, my loser. Who's your loser, Dan?
My loser's got to be the New York Giants. I mean, I love the thrill and excitement of Brian Daboll saying, well, we got our guy. Well, your guy happened to lead 5 straight drives that ended with turnovers. So you may have your guy. He's not there yet. 5 turnovers on 5 straight drives. You can't beat anybody that way. Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterboo. You will be better, but you got to be better.
And I'm rolling with Imari DeMarcado.
Got to.
I'm still holding on to the ball. And I carried it through the letters and logos that we have here. Young fella, you have to carry the ball. You had a chance to close the door right here, and we call this a close the door moment, a 71-yard run, and then you relaxed and
What's
let
the point of it?
There's never a time to relax.
You were up 21-6 when you fumbled. That had an opportunity to make it 28-6, which would have essentially closed the door. And then Tennessee goes and scores 16 unanswered, and you, young man, will end up on everybody's Friday tape. Being hard on you right now, but I hope you learn from this and you'll be better for it next week.
And mine is the Baltimore Ravens. Who in the hell are you? That's what I want to know. The Baltimore Ravens, we've known over the course of the last 2 decades, have hit you in the mouth and sent you home bleeding. Now teams go in there and they send them home bleeding. That's not the way it's supposed to be. Defense, it's awful. Offense, you don't have Lamar Jackson, but at least show up. They didn't even compete. They're the biggest losers of the day.
They don't know their identity. We know our identity here, though, on Game Day Recap, especially now that we got our boy Ran on the promo. That's going to do it for Week 5.
By the way, I had the ball before. He's the lion. He didn't hold on to it. He gave it up.
Yeah,
he gave it
you guys
up.
have just been
He gave
bouncing
it up.
I'm just going to
Give him his birthday toy, man. Give him his birthday toy.
High and tight, baby. High and tight.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this week's edition of Game Day Recap. Before we go, though, you didn't think you were getting on Wednesday. Some sweet treats, some Publix cupcakes for you.
And shout out to our producer, Jack, man. He makes us all look good.
Yeah, make a wish.
Make a wish.
We don't have that many
Come on.
candles.
Make a wish.
What do you mean?
65 candles.
All right, I just made a wish. I'll tell you what it is.
Otherwise, it won't come true.
Huh? Well,
Peter's wishing.
let's put it
I'm
this
not
way.
here next
It
year.
has something to do with making it another 65. I doubt it's a reality.
Let's get you another 100. For Pete Prisco, Rand Carthon, and Damien Harris, I'm Haley Sutton. This has been so much fun, and we get to do it all again next week on Game Day Recap. We will see you next Sunday. There we are, Rand and his tie.
He made it. He's back.
He's back. Pete, the birthday boy, front and center. The show is so much fun. We will do it again, like I said, next Sunday, 8:20 Eastern.